Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Lara, a clinical pharmacist specializing in functional medicine, as well as a certified yoga teacher and Reiki master. I run a truly integrative health coaching practice encompassing functional medicine lab testing, yoga and meditation, and a sprinkling of Reiki energy medicine. Join me here on Light Body Radio to break through your health plateau and come into alignment with your natural vitality. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Lara May, and today I have with me Inesa Ponomariovaite. She is a CBD and hemp expert, and I am going to let her tell you her amazing story because she saved her own mother from cancer. But the main thing we are going to be talking about is how the majority of CBD products on the market today might be causing you more harm than good. And so we're going to dive deep into that. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Tell us, let's just dive in with your story. You are the founder and CEO of, is it Nesas? How do you say that? I want to pronounce it.
Nesas Hemp is the right way of pronouncing. Yeah, with one S. Founder and CEO are definitely not by choice. Not something I chose to start this company that is completely against the entire industry, and of course, science behind is there, but end of the day, industry is doing completely opposite things. So it started not because I chose to, because I had to. So, and of course, coming because of my story, I guess, with my mother and more, which was started years ago when I was sick myself, and I was extremely unhealthy since the child, age 12, and my mom did not know any better, so she took me to the doctors, and doctors didn't know any better, so they put me on the pills, and I was on antibiotics almost monthly up to age 16, 18, and by age 20, 21, I was almost every 2 weeks on round of antibiotics, and I would create resistance. And of course, because you create resistance, that you try another antibiotic, a vicious cycle. And when I came to United States, age 21, I was simply experiencing a lot of stress because what I was going through, and it wasn't easy to start my life and journey in this country. And because of stress, of course, triggered my previous illnesses that I had since I was a kid, like UTIs, kidney infections, lungs, you name it. And I thought I'm living in the best country in the world, so I'm just gonna go see more doctors, since Lithuanian doctors did not help me much. And I start visiting doctors. They just put me on more antibiotics and, of course, steroids. And that led me eventually, by age 25, I was extremely sick, because also stress contributed a lot. And then I really had to figure out, age 25, what I'm going to do with my life. And I looked at my life and I said, I started with the doctors. I did all these things. Now I'm in the best country in the world with the best medical system, medical care, and things are not getting better. In fact, they're getting worse. So what I'm going to do? I just decided to no longer follow the same path. And I just decided to look outside the box and change my lifestyle, my diet. And those little tiny changes actually led me to major improvements. So when you're miserable for so many years, the little improvements is a big deal. And then you get so much hope, and you want to do all of it all the way in. And that's exactly what I did. I did all the way in. And within 1 year, I transformed my health. And I've been healthy since then. I don't even understand how people can get sick. I don't resonate with that. It just, for me, it's a common sense at this point. But it wasn't for me to overcome my health and my challenges and to leave the medical industry and no longer trust them. it wasn't enough where I'll say I'm going to change the world or anything like that, because I still was going through a lot of challenges I had to go through to start my life in this country. And with that being said, when I really got my life settled, I said this is American dream, because I'm not fulfilled with this comfortable lifestyle. We have a nice car, nice apartment, nice job, you're building other business on the side, but it's not fulfilling your soul. So
Mhm.
that was the moment where I went on my knees and I started asking God, what's my purpose in life? So I had to be very patient, because he never gave me an answer for a year. And I, after 1 year, I received this beautiful phone call that actually probably was dramatic to my mother, but it was amazing to me and the world as of today. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she said she had 6 months left to live. And as she was telling me about her diagnosis, I was truly feeling the vibration inside of my body, how she's going to be okay. And because I already knew I don't trust the pharmaceutical routes, that I will do whatever it takes to figure out what is the solution for cancer. Because at that point, when I was going through my own journey, I developed this messaging for myself that everything is possible as long as you know what you're doing, and as long as you're using the God's mother nature to overcome your illnesses. So I saw this beautiful vision. As she's crying from sadness, I was crying from happiness, because I saw so much joy and love and happiness where my mom's getting complete the cancer, and I see thousands of people getting better. I did not know at that time how and why. I just felt like because of my mom's cancer, there's many people doing better in this world. And I was so convicted with that feeling and that vision, where I knew that this is it. And that's exactly what happened. I actually was able to help my mom, and as of her cancer, as result of her cancer, today world is in better place, and today we do have a lots of happy, smiling faces on this planet because of my mom's cancer. So that's how I started the holistic field, I would say.
Mhm. Amazing. So what about the CBD and hemp aspect of it? Like, how did that weave into your story?
That's a big deal, because as I was learning, and I spent 27,000 hours, it's not like I read some book or listened some podcast, went on YouTube, read on Google or anything like that. I truly spent 27,000 hours on the global research, working with top knowledgeable people you can possibly imagine on the cancer research. So in the beginning, I truly had no idea what I'm doing, but I was applying everything as I was learning, because I knew she has only 6 months left to live. So when my mother got official diagnosed cancer-free, no chemo, no radiation, on that journey, I learned about endocannabinoid system. And of
Mhm.
course, back home in Lithuania, I was using a raw cannabinoids to for her to improve, because that's what I was learning on my research. So when my mother got diagnosed completely cancer free, I got excited, and I started helping others basically to overcome their illness. And people got improved, and the word spread around, and people wanted my time. It got eventual to the point where I had to stop volunteering and help people and just open a consulting company, because it was impossible to shut these doors. And when I became this official consultant, I would say I learned that everything what's marketed, that doesn't mean exactly what it is. So you have to do
Mhm.
your own due diligence to know the truth. And when I learned essentials of hemp and how our bodies can survive without actually cannabinoids, how this is one of the most essential things for you to empower your body, your health, and create internal balance to fight any disease, including help immunity, and to do another 1,000 health benefits that actually hemp produces to your body. I knew how essential the plant is. So my job was just figure out what is the healthiest product on the market that I can represent to my clients, so I can trust for them to take, because they're already sick. So they can't
Mhm.
afford to take more metals, more mold, more parasites, and all those other things that actually cause them to be sick in the first place. And when I started investigating the industry, more questions I asked these companies actually on the call, more questions I had instead of having the answers. And that's where I got really confused, because I thought I should get some answers and I would clear my path, I would choose, and I thought it's going to be easy. So got to the point where I chose 17 most reputable companies that time, which was years ago. Some of them are still largest market share companies in United States. And I said, I did a little white lie and I said, I'm from Lithuania. What if one day I will come and check to see how you guys doing, to double check the quality, because I feel really responsible. Whatever I represent, I want to make sure I can put my name behind. And they said, no problem. You're welcome to show up anytime you wish in the business hours. And that's exactly what I did. I created a list of 17 companies, actually farmers, productions, manufacturers, production labs, and all those main producers that were marketed as number one CBD companies on in the United States on the market. So created a map, backpacked, jump on a plane, and start traveling door to door for 2-3 weeks straight. And it was pretty sad because I discovered pretty ugly things, and it was ugly. And when I say ugly, I discovered such as organic labeled products contained so much and high levels of mold or metals. And they say, oh, we have a guidelines with on organic to be in that level. But I said human body functions in parts per trillion. To be in parts per million to be safe, that doesn't mean anything. At least you have to complete yourself in parts per billion. So, but again, everybody had an excuse. So what I find out from my research, that not 99.9% of the products, every single product contain a drug, which is CBD, and CBD is not even a natural form of the plant. And all of them in some form and shape had kind of type of toxins in it, such as mold, metals, and things like that. And I had a little shock reaction to the point where I give up, because I tested these products myself. I said, I can't trust you guys. I'm sorry, I have to take a sample from your specific batch you're making at this very moment, so I can send it to the laboratory that I trust, because they wouldn't fake the lab reports like most do. And I said, I want to know these reports for myself. So I truly spend a lot of my savings actually to know the truth. And when I discovered these things, I just went back home on my knees, and literally that day I was even screaming from pain, because I knew that this plant can bring a hope and change and bring the revolution to the health, because it's one of the most essential things people can possibly take to empower their health. And everybody else, what they were doing, they're selling the CBD, which is a drug patented by Food and Drug Administration.
Mm.
It's almost become completely controlled in any minute, actually, as of today. And that's going to turn into another, subscription or prescription or whatever,
Mhm.
any kind of type of ideas to control the market. But you do have a right to control, because CBD is a drug, and CBD is actually this compound that is adulterated from original version, which is CBDa. So when I discovered this whole thing, I just went on my knees and I said, God, please help me, because this is not okay, and we need to figure out how to fix this. But then I thought maybe I'm going crazy, because I don't know. I did my research, but I don't know if I'm really correct or wrong. Maybe I'm just, how everybody can be wrong. I thought
Mhm.
maybe it's just something wrong with me. So I decided to actually contact number one experts in the United States and the world, the ones discovered human endocannabinoid system. And I said, of course, some of them took me 3 months to get on the call, because those are like, their father, God, Nobel Prize multi-winners who discovered things. So every university is in desire to have even 5-minute attention. So Dr.
Mhm.
Rafael Mashulam, he's the one who discovered that endocannabinoid system. So it took me 3 months to get him on the call. And when I got him on the call, I mean, I asked him, I said, are you aware this is what's happening in the industry? And I said, you understand how essential this plant is to us, and our bodies can live without, and this is what the industry is doing. And I said, if I'm going crazy or all of them are going crazy. And then he told me that I'm not going crazy, which just made me feel better because I thought that I'm really going crazy. And and I thought, okay, if the number one leader on the planet tells me that he's aware of the problem, but there's no way to fix it because the industry is already too big and pharmaceuticals are taking over, then I figured, like, what are we gonna do? I said, do you have any solutions? He said, no, but if you ever come up with one, just let me know. So it sounded pretty sad, but then I thought maybe he's missing something because he's from Israel. He doesn't know what's going on in the United States. So I decided to contact one of the top cannabis experts in Harvard, and he also didn't even talk to me. He hung up on me when I called him. And then when I finally got him on the call, we talked. I had to chase him down across the country to get to speak with him because, as I said, he never took me serious in the first place. And I said, this is what my findings are, and this is what I discovered. This is what I talked to Dr. Mashulam, and I said, can you please tell me if I'm going crazy? And he says, no, you're not going crazy. In fact, I'm leaving this entire industry because of exactly what you just mentioned. And he said, I can't stand behind something that we turning this beautiful plant into the evil again. And I just can't stand behind this, and I'm done. My contract is almost done. And actually, he was in that time with the contract with one of those companies I investigated. And when I find
Mm.
out he's representing that company, I said, did you know these guys are loaded with heavy metals? And all these children are taking, they're going to have more anxiety, more heart attacks, more everything from these products are promoted as the healthiest things on the planet. So basically, I realized that I'm by myself. And that's where the journey really started, that I had to figure out how I'm going to bring the solution, how I'm going to bring the cleanest product on the market that actually represents every single compound from in the chemistry, from the plant to the finished bottle. And ingredients, of course, soil. We had to develop a clean soil, make sure there's no chemtrails explosions, and make sure there's no metals, no mold, because hemp itself by nature is a soil cleaner. So actually, it's like a sponge, it grabs every single toxin. So if you
Mm.
want to grow hemp for medicinal purposes, you must prepare your soil for minimum couple years, because if you don't, it's gonna grab every toxin and it's gonna be in your final version of the plant. So yeah, that's how it started. It wasn't by choice, because again, it's not easy to be in this industry. You
Yeah.
can't you can't advertise, you can't speak about benefits, you can't even have a bank account. Every single thing is against you. And that's how I started, as I said, because I saw the need and I saw how essential this plant is to us.
Well, thank you for your perseverance and your curiosity. So I want to go just explain to the audience too, like, what's the difference between CBD and CBDA?
So CBDA, we don't have enough research, and I possibly believe it's done by design, because if we're gonna have enough research on CBDA, then we need to make it mainstream, almost to the point like in the grocery stores. And of course, if we will do that, then half the country will go healthy in the next 3 months. And if we'll do that, we're gonna lose our economy because we make money from sick people. So so with
Mm.
that being said, I there's not enough studies, but all the studies so far came out on the CBDA is it's basically way more effective than CBD, which is 1,000 times stronger if you have a healthy plant. And it's way more effective, and it works basically empower your endocannabinoid system, which is the most essential system that you have in your body, because that one system regulates hundreds of system functionalities in the body, including children development. I did not know. I just read the latest research, and they're saying if you empower kids endocannabinoid system, you're going to help them to develop as a better brain, better empowerment, better health. So with that being said, CBDA is way more powerful in its original version from the plant in the original chemistry. But when you take CBDA and convert through extraction process such as heat, temperatures, solvents, you turn into adulterated forms such as CBD, and that's what whole market sells: CBD plus toxins.
Mm. So I'm assuming, is there a way to preserve the CBDA component into a
Definitely.
into a final,
I'm sitting
ingestible
at
product?
manufacturer. Yeah, I'm sitting at manufacturer right now. We're about to do this in the next half an hour. Yes,
Yeah,
there is a
awesome.
way to preserve the CBDA, 100%.
Amazing, amazing. So, why, I don't know. Let me formulate my question here. How is it, just because, do you think, of ease, um, that the market has really pumped this whole like CBD, CBD, CBD message of like, this is the easiest product, like the process, instead of like it's harder to do with the clean product versus like this, what we're essentially getting is the adulterated piece of it?
To get the adulterated piece, you will take half an hour. It can print batches of thousands of bottles. We literally take weeks to produce a batch, and it's not a joke.
Mm,
It's a real situation. As I said, I'm literally sitting at manufacturer at this very moment. So, first of all, it's much harder, so it's not as profitable. But again, you choose which side you want to belong. You want to go to support the plant
right.
people, or you want to go something sell whatever, and to make from people hope and illnesses, which is I don't believe in that. I've been miserable myself half of my life, and it's pretty sad when you have no hope. So that's, I believe, it's the one issue. But the mainstream issue that I personally discovered, and I still truly believe that's the main reason why things are the way they are, it's because if you're gonna go on Google is gonna tell you CBD is a drug. It's officially belongs to Food and Drug Administration.
Mm.
It's their patent, it's their thing. So I personally believe they just allowed all these CBD companies to promote a product, to promote the idea of CBD, and when they have enough of the market share, they're gonna pull it back and say, "You guys selling our property, and you need to stop that," which is they already start doing this year. And actually, early January, I saw the article came out that Food and Drug Administration or pharmaceuticals, I forgot one of those, sent an email and request to stop companies to sell CBD because it's their property. It is their property. So you see how they did it? They like a free marketers,
Yeah.
they spread the word.
Yeah, I was under the impression, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but as a pharmacist and what we were taught in pharmacy school, that technically you can't have a patent on like a natural product that comes from a plant. I don't, and so, but oh, so I see what you're saying. So the CBD itself, because of the way it's extracted, is the adulterated product. So it's not the natural piece. So that's what they patent.
You
Gotcha.
got it.
Oh,
That's
see
why
how
they don't
those
want to.
pieces just came together?
That's why you don't want to know about CBDA. That's the real reason, because it's way more powerful, it's way more effective. That's exactly what your body is producing, and it's not adulterated form, and nobody can control it. Can you imagine? And then if everybody goes to empower their endocannabinoid system, then our country is going to be pretty healthy in next 90 days, and then we lose a lot of market share.
Well, I mean, but I still feel like there's this challenge of production. I mean, like you said, like the soil is so important. But even like I live in California, and for the longest time it was one of the most front of industry states and markets for cannabis cultivation. But I would say now, since the whole like recreational legal thing has evolved, the industry itself has devolved because of the tax burden and the regulations and everything that's come along with that. So, um, where do you see the potential with just having like the raw material, like producing the raw material for this amazing healing component?
I mean, this is how nature intend to be, and I just believe in supporting the plant and the humans. And someone like myself that strives to do what's good for humanity and do only what's right will thrive, because eventually people will find out what's going on, and they actually gonna say no
Mhm.
and to these things. And of course, pharmaceuticals will pull their drug, which is CBD, and they already starting this year officially. I saw the articles coming out, And they kind of gonna wind down the whole industry because they're gonna see you guys selling our property you're not supposed to, and please stop, or otherwise we'll issue the court letter.
Mhm.
So, so again, and it is their property because it's adulterated. In a natural form, it's sitting in the soil, and nobody is talking about any research so far. It's been done on a natural form. It's incredible. The science is speaking completely different things. It's incredible. When even COVID news came out on the Oregon University research, they didn't say that spike proteins actually, or you can get protected yourself from spike proteins to enter your body from CBD. They said CBDa specifically.
Mhm.
So I personally believe that companies are trying to do good. They're gonna thrive, and the companies that just came for a quick buck, just to take advantage of the industry and people's illnesses and kind of suffering, and say, "Oh, we'll offer you solution because you guys miserable will buy anything," which is I was one of those people, truly, truly was. Um, I feel these companies have no space left in the market, and they will be gone soon. That's my prediction, and I already see that happening. To be honest with you, the one sad thing is farmers, because I do deal with farmers directly myself. In fact, I contract the farms. I tell them what we're gonna do with the soil. I organize the whole from the seed to the finished bottle. I participate and I control each process. So I see that how farmers are struggling because everybody wanted whatever. And if somebody is good out there, truly trying to put their heart and soul into the plant, it does cost more money, does cost more time and more labor. And of course, these people are struggling. And that's why
Mhm.
I can't wait to empower these farmers. I'm already talking to Oregon University to see how we can empower them, how we can push them, because they are trying what's the best for humanity and they're struggling the most. But I see this whole thing is about to shift, and hopefully we're gonna have regulations actually in place where they're gonna say, "Hey, we want you guys to consume this. That's very good for you, and your body in fact can function without, and you should be on it. Except we need to create a good regulations and guidelines. What is going to be the health product, what is going to look like, because as of today, if you're a pharmacist, like there's a lots of labs is going to do testing, and if some
Mhm.
consumers you don't know says lab tested from what, it's almost saying I did your blood work for what? Like you did to check my, white blood cells, or you checked if I had a, virus or something. You did the blood work on what? Same thing here. They say lab tested, consumers don't know, and they buy on the specific wording. And sad news is when I used to call laboratories and try to pick the good lab to work, they wouldn't ask me exactly how I want it to be in terms like what specific data I'm looking for, like toxins, microtoxins, and things like that. They would say, just tell us how you want it to be exactly. Like, just they didn't care about get into the details of quality. They just told me that just tell us how you want lab reports to look like, and we'll give you exact same report. Doesn't matter the
Mhm.
product doesn't match the lab report. So that
Yeah.
also got really concerned me because laboratories don't produce a results that truly represent what's in the product. And you just pay a couple $100 and you get that. So the ACS laboratories in Florida, the only one lab in America at this very moment, wouldn't sell their soul for any kind of type of dollars. You can offer, and they lose about 40-50% of customers every month because CBD companies comes in, they want to test this bottle for something, and they say we'll report exactly as it is. And CBD owner says, no, I don't want to show that I have metals or I have aspergillus or I have all these things. And they said, I'm sorry, we will still report because this is your lab reports. And they're going to say, screw you, excuse my language. But I'm going
Mhm.
to go find another laboratory who's going to give me a nice, clean lab reports. And I'm going to show to consumers that my products are clean. So it's a
Yeah.
vicious cycle from the beginning to the end. And it's actually super easy to fix if you really have that. Well, as I said, if somebody gave me this industry, I probably would fix it in less than 3 months. I would have regulations, testing everything parts per billion from every possible microtoxin. I would never allow anybody plant these plants in the unhealthy soil in the first place. And I would keep the labs accountable for what they report. And that's it. And it's just not complicated. It's just, it's easy.
You make it sound so easy.
Oh.
So let's talk about more about the benefits of CBDA in terms of our health and wellness. I'm sure the implications have a wide spectrum, but can you just maybe pick some of your favorite implications and benefits?
My favorite when woman comes to me and says, Ines, I tried to get pregnant for 9 years and I couldn't. And here we go, I'm pregnant. Like, you're going to be a godmother. Or Ines, I had these prostate issues forever and I tried XYZ, nothing helped. 3 months on your product, I dropped from 12 to number 3 or 2.1. So, or people say, I've been unhappy my entire life and I couldn't understand why. When I start taking a product, I feel happy again. I feel like I want to do things. My mood swings are gone. Yes, you're gonna see benefits on inflammation. You're gonna see benefits on anything. You have infection in your ear, I put the drop in there and it's gone. You don't need colloidal silver anymore. It's just incredible how it does almost everything. And as I said, like, I don't want to say because it's my product and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to sell something here, but there's nothing I actually couldn't use this product for. I use it for my wrinkles. I use it for if I have inflammation, if I've been underwater, if I have something going on. I actually was just an event last week. People were getting COVID and viruses and things like that. Load them up with Nesas. Half an hour later, they're standing looking at me like nothing happened to them again. So just it's your main battery. It's the charge basically for entire main battery that regulates every single system in the body, almost every single. So it really goes in your body and scans everything that's kind of imbalanced and immediately starts acting in that area, whatever you need. Maybe hair growth, maybe vision, maybe your prostate, maybe your bowel, maybe your spleen, maybe your heart issues. I don't know. Each person does have a different need. But the beautiful thing is it truly goes in your body and looks for these gaps and starts immediately filling these gaps, exactly what you specifically need. So each person experiences different results, but very hard to tell because it's endless. It's thousands, not even hundreds. In the beginning, I thought it's hundreds. But when I start counting testimonies and people reports and when I start reading reviews, I'm like, it's endless.
Well, and I think that's because of the wide reaches of the endocannabinoid system within our body too, which we like didn't really touch on, but we can circle back to that too, and maybe explain to people a little bit better about how this system within ourselves, it's like an ecosystem within our own ecosystem. I think the way I see it.
That's actually exactly how it is. It's the ecosystem, entire the ecosystem. So just for people to imagine this very easy, you have all these, first of all, when you're born, um, you have this endocannabinoid system that's also responsible to regulate all your ecosystems, right? And you produce your own cannabinoids. They're like almost the same form as like we sell in Nesas Hemp. So you produce them, but you start losing them based on the newest research in age 18, 19, and 20, because you're exposed to oxidative stress, you're exposed to toxins, metals, I mean, bad water, food, you name it, inflammation. And you start tearing up your own production of these cannabinoids that regulates all the systems. Actually, you start losing it. So what you're gonna do when your gas tank is empty? You're gonna go and fill the tank, right? It's
Mhm.
very easy. So that's exactly what we need to do to fill our bodies, what we made from. And the most beautiful thing is, especially in Nesas hemp, I know for a fact, when people take it, yes, empowers your endocannabinoid system, but it regulates entire central nervous system within a minutes. If the product is really a good quality,
Mhm.
I never seen anything like that. When you have central nervous system being regulated in results in a minutes, it's incredible. So again, going back to endocannabinoid system, you have these receptors all over the body, and they need to kind of send a signal for, just imagine your system to function or your organ to function or actually fight the disease and empower immunity. And lower you are on that production of these cannabinoids, lower you are on that endocannabinoid system, you are becoming basically deficient. So that's why it's so important to empower. But it's incredible. As I said, it's these little tiny receptors all over the body regulating everything, including your brain. Children, I just saw, it's incredible what it does for kids. It helps for development. I didn't know that. Even when in our labels we have to say it's not suggested for children, but I'm
Mhm.
thinking that kid is already have in what we have in the bottle. That kid doesn't have anything different as long as it's nice and clean.
Well, and it's interesting too that the one pharmaceutical product that has been brought all the way to market and been approved by the FDA that is a CBD product is actually used for seizures, and it is used in children. So yeah, that whole back to the hypocrisy and the corruption
Yeah,
of that arm of the industry is interesting. So yeah, and it's just so interesting too that you can just throw on there lab tested, but there's other things that you're required by law to put on there that are really like arbitrary.
exactly. But that's the saddest part. There is really no law. And I personally see actually, and I know it's very, what I'm about to say, it's very big, but this is how I see it. And I realized that long time ago, and I'm like, oh my goodness. We have at this very moment cannabis, and by the way, I'm against cannabis itself because we never had cannabis. This is 100% engineered in the lab, seeds, high genetics on the THC. We never were meant to smoke these carcinogenics. But I'm very pro hemp because that's what we had in a history for all these years, thousands of years, including Jesus was using actually canna to heal people. So what I can say is, as of today, federal government clearly says that cannabis or hemp is federally illegal in all states, right?
Mhm.
And that means it's almost, for me, sounds like for you guys it's illegal federally to breathe air. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, this is essential to my body. I produce it. It's part of me. Like, how could be illegal? It's almost saying, just like our bodies contain water, we made from water, 17 to whatever percent is, you know, it's almost saying you can't drink water. It's federally legal. It's the same thing here. It's just mind boggling to me how, as of today, federal government has a way to walk away and say, this is federally illegal. Oh, dear government, we need this. Our body produces. It's part of us. I'm sorry. And you just have to create the regulations, make sure lab reports are done correctly, make sure companies are accountable what they put on the market, and make sure we actually promoting this natural version that's been shown be way more effective, and it should be in every single grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just, again, so ironic that the one of the reasons that we don't have this research is because they've kept it, quote, "illegal" for so long, because they've even prohibited the research of the component and the plant, which again, like, I think this also illustrates the difference between the law enforcement side of the United States versus the scientific research and medicine side, that sometimes even medicine is prohibited in the evolution and the progress because of the blind sides of law enforcement.
Yeah,
That's all I'll say about that.
a lot of politics there. That's why
Yeah.
when I was age 25, I was like, oh, for me to become healthy I have to learn politics. I did not know that. And I'm like, oh no. So that's why I said, when I saw the industry doing completely opposite thing what plan intends to be or do, I knew something is going on, some wishy-washy situation. That's why I had to really do the major investigations, and I was happy to spend my life savings to know the truth because I knew the essentials. I knew how this whole thing is essential to our bodies, and I knew that I better find somebody good to promote or to be part of that company or affiliate myself, since I couldn't find any company on the market. That's why I had to really develop Nesas that creates these standards in the industry.
So tell us where we can find Nesas Hemp.
That's easy. If you go on if you go on nesashemp.com, it's the easiest way. We do have doctors selling the product across the country, but I feel like there's not so many where you have 3,000 or 10,000 locations like Walgreens. So I think it would be harder to find these doctors where they physically carry the product since we have them. But the best way, actually, it's really purchase online. If you go on nesashemp.com, and if it's, you can read up. We have so much information on our website. At this point, we have too much. We're trying to reduce it because it's pretty overwhelming for people. So we're trying to reduce the information, but it's a lot to read, a lot to educate. We also share lab reports. So each product that goes on the market, we do testing in parts per billion in from every single possible toxin, microtoxin, metals, and things like that. And every product that goes on the market is the most extensively tested by FDA registered awarded laboratories that are kept accountable for what they report.
And are you on the socials too?
We're pretty actually dead on socials. We're not super active, but I'm trying to be. Our new strategy is to be more active. So we going to be, as January, we definitely gonna start creating more activity on social media. So, but as I said, to be really in tune with the company and the news and what we stand for and the mission, because I'm also fighting human trafficking. There's a lot going on. So when you buy Nesas Hemp, you're not just empowering your health with the cleanest product, you also helping me to fight very dark sources out there. And and we normally share these things in the emails. So that's why subscribing the email and have a newsletter would be probably a great idea.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody out there, definitely check out nesashemp.com. Join the newsletter so you're in the know of all of the fabulous things that that she's doing and that the company is doing. And so yeah, any last word, any last, pieces or information or wisdom before we wrap up?
What I learned if they tell me to go right, that means you go left. If they tell me to give my money, that means don't. If they tell me to take this prescription, that means don't. And I just learned that sadly, you really have to look out for yourself. And that's where we live at this very moment. I just found out Illinois is paying Monsanto is paying $6 billion for cancer causing water in Illinois. So it's just so sad, and it's not on the news unless you dig into the sources. You will know these things. If you don't, like if you're busy living your life, paying your bills, you're not gonna know these things. So please be responsible for your own life. You don't have to be miserable. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to be a victim of anything on this planet. There's a solutions for everything. So stop wasting your time on the problem. Just focus all your energy on the solution. That's my biggest advice.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. As we like to say around here, you are your own best healer. And you do that by, again, being involved, being empowered, doing your research, doing your homework, and, asking questions and, looking everywhere for solutions and then following your gut and, you following your own intuition. So thank you for everything that you're doing. Again, everybody, excuse me, it's nesashemp.com. And everything will be on the show notes page at drlaramay.com. And we will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.